to speak to the adoption of the amendment? Lady from the 51st, Delegate Fleischhauer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield to a question?
To the distinguished lady from Monongalia, certainly.
Can you explain how the amendment works?
What the amendment would do is simply ban the issuance of the contract and instead take that money and devote it toward salaries of the personnel in DHHR, both in terms of raising the salaries of the individuals there and in enabling them to increase their number.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, at the appropriate time, I'd like to speak to the amendment.
Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for responding to my question. I have been thinking a lot about this bill, and I know a lot of members have been going back and forth about what's the best way to resolve this problem. This is, and I know that members on both sides of the aisle have been going back and forth. What is the best solution? I do not think that the managed care option is the best solution, in part because of conversations I've had with people in my district and with people that have lived elsewhere where there was managed care. I spoke with a minister in my county last night who has two children that he has adopted out of 7, of a family of 7, and he said he encourages, he said that he wished he had more bedrooms in his house because he has gotten so much out of taking care of these children. But he said that doctors right now ask him, do you have straight Medicaid or do you have managed care? And he says straight Medicaid because right now that's what he has. And he said, they say, oh, okay, we will treat you. He used to live in Kentucky. And he said their experience in Kentucky was a disaster. In fact, it had to be rolled back. That's what he informed me after a short period of time. I don't think there's anyone, and these children were not victims of the opioid crisis. We have had a long time problem with not paying our workers enough. And we've had a long time problem of too many children in foster care. And I'm very glad that the sponsors of the amendment sponsors of the bill adopted an amendment about kinship care, because now over half of the kids in foster care, over half, are in kinship care, and most of them are not being paid anything. And most of them are older, and they know how to raise children, but they haven't had the training on how to raise traumatized children. What we need is more money injected into our current system so that those families can stay together. We do not need an out-of-state company that's making phone calls and checking up on these families to come in and tell us, to skim profit off the top and tell us how we should handle the children in our state. I think that we all want to, I don't think this is the kind of situation where we say this isn't working, let's do something different. There's a lot of experience with managed care. In some places it's been a disaster. If we're going to do this, which I'm not convinced we should, it should be done slowly, like in New York. And there should be a lot of stops along the way to make sure it's working right. What this gentleman told me, this minister in my community, that's one of the things he said, that he felt, based on his experience, that there will be children that will be harmed by privatizing the system. So I think the gentleman's amendment is very well founded, and I urge adoption.
Lady from the 32nd, Delegate Kessinger.